Hello and welcome to the Post to Post podcast. This is podcast number 55. My name's Neil. I'm joined here with Brent.
My name is Rant.
What was that?
I don't know. Little stutter start there.
Little rough start.
Yeah.
But,
Pick
right.
it up from here.
Yeah.
Can't get any worse.
I'm tired, so I
am
fully
too.
expect to make mistakes like those.
Yeah, I'm wasted.
You're wasted.
I'm wasted. Like not wasted, like substance abuse wasted.
Oh.
I'm just. Yeah, it's been a long morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gone all yesterday, pretty much. I had a work Christmas party, and then after that, I went to Aubrey's place to hang with Aubrey and Chris for a bit.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I didn't get home till 1:40 a.m. and then I got up at 8 to go play hockey for the first time this year. So I am exhausted. I do apologize to the viewers and the listeners. I will not be very lively in this podcast. I'll try to be, but I'm faking it because I'm extremely tired, and I didn't get to watch a single second of hockey yesterday.
You played some puck this morning, then.
I did.
Wow.
I did, and I sucked. Yeah, I was bad. Like,
Yeah.
in your mind, you know what you can do,
Mm-hmm.
but the first time out in the ice in the year, I'm so out of shape, and I was using a new stick, and just couldn't get the hang of it, and I was just frustrated. It was very frustrating. Anyway, looking forward to getting back out for another go.
Now you know now you know what William Nylander felt like his first game back with the Leafs. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it takes a while to get back into shape and get your feet back under you. So, yeah, I did watch all the highlights from last night, which doesn't really count. That's not watching a game. That's no. I'm
Cheat.
I'm embarrassed that I did not watch any hockey, but there is a lot of hockey on today, which I plan on watching.
Mm-hmm.
So, trying to make it up a little bit.
Cool.
And there's a lot of very important games on today, like Tampa Bay plays Winnipeg tonight. That's going to be an amazing game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Right on.
Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is mistakes. So we released a video earlier this week called 15 Worst Goalies in the NHL. So I had already made a pinned comment on that video. If you'd like to go read it, if you haven't read it yet, please go read it. But basically, the mistakes in the video were definitely our fault, but it wasn't due to the fact that we didn't check the stats. It was intentional, but like I'm not sure how to explain this. Like, I purposely didn't look at the list because I wanted to have a genuine reaction to when you read me the names.
Yeah.
So,
and I didn't find the list. You pointed me to the list.
I just gave you the list, yeah.
Gave me the list, which was an article written by some dude in 2015.
Yeah.
And it's on the internet, so it must be true.
Yeah, exactly.
And we just rolled with it.
And I gave it to you pretty last minute, so I set you up for failure. But, I mean, I did that because I didn't want to know the names on the list. I wanted to have a genuine reaction to what you were saying. And people were like, well, you should have done your research, whatever. And they're not wrong. I should have, but that would have ruined the entire kind of point of the episode. I wanted to be surprised and have a genuine conversation about this stuff. But anyway, a lot of the stats in that video were wrong. We do apologize. We didn't make the list, like you said. It's someone else's list. So anyways, we've received death threats over that via email too, actually. I had to block a few people on YouTube. It's crazy. Like, when you make a mistake, and we have in the past, unfortunately.
We do it all the time because we're not professionals.
Everyone makes mistakes.
Yeah.
This is YouTube. It's a platform for amateurs, so we're going to make mistakes. Excuse me. It's amazing to see how, not everyone, definitely not everyone.
No.
It's a very small portion, but it's amazing to see how some people are just waiting to jump down your throat and take you out and try and act tough on the internet behind a fake account. And it's just, I just don't get it. I don't get that mindset. Like, what kind of enjoyment do you get? I just don't get it.
I think up until 10 years ago, most cowards just stayed home. They didn't go out to the bars and get themselves beaten up, and they didn't do this and they didn't do that. They just stayed home. Now, with YouTube and other internet platforms, they can stay home, comment on other people's stuff, and pretend they're tough.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. It means absolutely nothing for especially somebody with a fake account. All of my accounts that I have on social media point to my real identity.
Yeah, me too.
And that suggests to me that I should be a lot more responsible with the things I say and do on social media.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes I pop off. I'm I'm triggered or
Yeah.
whatever, but I still have to own what I say, and I'm still responsible for what I say.
Yeah.
But someone with a fake account, you might be fine. You might be probably 98% of the fake accounts are run by legit people that are decent folks, and they're not cowards. But sorry, if you don't have your real name next to your Twitter handle or your Instagram or whatever you are, then I'm going to take you less seriously than everybody else.
100%. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well said. There's always room. There's always a place for constructive criticism, for corrections on stats or whatever. Like we welcome that because we do make mistakes. We do listen to constructive criticism, but it's when you cross that line of respect into disrespect, like there's no need of that. Like it's not a big deal. Like
No.
it's YouTube. Just calm down.
Yeah, just
Anyway,
relax.
We made a mistake. We'll make it again. Like not that specific mistake. That's not going to happen again. But we'll make other mistakes in the future.
Stay tuned.
We're human, so.
Yeah, more mistakes guaranteed coming up.
Anyway, the next thing I want to talk about is Discord predictions. So our Discord has really taken off as far as predictions go. If you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, Discord is kind of a platform. It's a server where you have a bunch of different chat rooms, and we have a bot that records our predictions. So I make a prediction, and I say, predict Arizona if I think Arizona's going to win the game for that night. And then it tracks everything. It gives you points, and you're a part of a leaderboard as far as overall and weekly and stuff. And it's a lot of fun. Over 150 people are predicting on basically a daily basis, trying to compete. And if you get I think if you're the top of the week, you get a different color. If you're top overall, you get a different color name and stuff. So like there's little perks, and I'm probably going to hand out a prize at the end of it. Mm-hmm. But like there are some serious, good, smart, intelligent people on the Discord with incredible predictions. Like I think someone of all the games this week, someone got like 2 wrong.
Wow.
Like it's amazing. So
hopefully they're also betting Proline or whatever passes for that in their respective jurisdiction and making some money.
Yeah. I started late. I started about a month late, and I'm currently predicting at 65%. I'm 74 and 39.
That's pretty good.
It's not bad, but I'm still 41st. Like there are so many impressive people on the Discord with their predictions.
That's great.
Yeah. If you are not part of a Discord, I would recommend or invite you to join. The invitation link is down in the description. Please join in on the fun and predictions.
Nice.
So, have you heard the rumor, which is almost more than a rumor now? Apparently, it's almost confirmed. It's almost official.
Oh, hit me.
Joe Quenneville.
Yes.
To the Flyers.
Really?
Have you heard that?
I have not.
I have heard that on multiple platforms on the internet. So you don't trust everything you read on the internet.
No.
But when you read it in more than one place, you start to kind of believe it. Mm-hmm. And I'm just kind of waiting for that information to come from a reputable source like Bob McKenzie or Elliot on Twitter, or like someone really in the game of hockey who has these connections. Mm-hmm. But that would be a very interesting move. I am surprised that Quenneville is willing to take the jump so quickly back onto another team. I thought maybe he might consider waiting around for Seattle.
Well, Joel Quenneville, he was canned prematurely in the eyes of a lot of people.
I disagree.
And we might disagree.
Yeah.
We both might disagree. But he was canned prematurely. And one of the things you can do, and I have this as a plan for later on, so I won't go in through them all now.
Yeah.
What you can do is look at how the team has done since Joel Quenneville left. Did they get appreciably better? And of the 4 main coaches that were canned so far this season, only one of the teams has gotten substantially better. The rest are continuing their slide or even at break even at the best.
So the only team that has done better is Edmonton.
Way better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Way better. And to watch the game last night, Philadelphia-Vancouver, they spent a lot of time focusing on Dave Haxtell behind the bench in Philadelphia and making some kind of comments about it's almost time. I wonder if he knows what's coming in the future. In previous times, coaches have often been let go immediately after a bad game.
Yeah, we see that a lot, actually.
We do, and there's no doubt that was a bad game last night for Philly. And I heard nothing so far today. I have heard rumors that he's done soon, but I haven't heard the replacement rumor that you've got. So
we've even seen coaches fired after a win. I think this year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Who was it that got fired this year after a win? Oh, man, it's going to drive me crazy.
I don't know about this year, but last year Michel Therrien was fired after a win on the West Coast. I think he'd won the game in L.A. or San Jose or somewhere. Montreal had actually won, and then they canned him, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. I could have made yet the next mistake on post-to-post.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, yeah, it'd be interesting. I do like that fit with Quenneville in Philadelphia, but I think it's too soon. But anyway, good for Philadelphia. I guess it's Joe Quenneville is one of the most established coaches in the NHL, if not the most tenured, other than
Absolutely.
probably Ken Hitchcock. So
absolutely, yeah.
You got a good body coming your way if it is true.
Mm-hmm.
Can we go over the game recaps from last night?
Absolutely, we
cool
can.
with that?
Yes, please. Let's do it.
The Calgary-Minnesota game was the first game. That was the afternoon game.
Yeah.
I tried to watch some of this game. It wasn't on TV.
Yes, it was.
No, I looked.
Well, I watched it.
It was blacked out.
I watched it.
Was it on the French channel?
C'est sur le canal français. We have 2 or 3 good sports channels en français that often will show in our territory games that we're not allowed to see in English.
I forgot to check there.
That's where they were. And I watched the game. And I watched, looking for, in particular, the carryover of bad blood from December the 6th, because these two teams met, and that's when there was a lot of shenanigans, let's say, that went on in that game. And I was watching mainly to see if those shenanigans would carry over. And I was not disappointed.
Wasn't there like 3 fights in the first period or something?
That's correct. Yeah, 3 fights in the first period. There was Tkachuk and Dumba. And Dumba actually left the game after that fight. He didn't look to be overly injured when the fight happened, but he left the game. He didn't come back.
Really?
Yeah. And then there was Matt Hendricks and Giordano. They went, probably to pick up where they left off, or where Giordano left off the previous, because he was the guy who, of course, put the knee into Koivu and put Koivu out. He's still out. Giordano got a 2-game suspension, so he's served that suspension. He's now been playing for a game or 2. This is the first time back facing Minnesota, the Calgary-Minnesota game, and so that carried on a little bit. And then just as the period ended, Bennett and Sutter went at it. So that was all kind of cool. So there was lots of payback and carryover, which is great. That's what we want to see, and maybe not so much as the guy who wants to see all the hate. He's on TV. He used to be the GM of Vancouver and Anaheim.
Brian Burke?
Brian Burke.
Oh.
Yeah, his name escapes me. That's what happens when you get old. But he wants to see a lot of hate, and he doesn't even like it when players are nice to each other in the ice before a face-off and they're chatting.
Yeah, or before a game, he doesn't want to see.
Doesn't want to see any of that. Yeah, any of that when they're warming up and just doing their stretches just opposite sides of the center line. And how you doing? How's the wife and kids? He hates that. So he would love this game.
I understand that point in a way.
I do too.
I think there should be more hate in hockey, but I disagree with that. Like, regardless of what team you play on, you have friends from around the league. Most of the players, 90+% of players in the NHL have played from more than one team. So you have friends on other team. I don't think you should be punished for talking to your friends on the other team for 3 seconds, during a whistle or something. I just think that's silly. But I don't disagree with him that there should be more hate in hockey.
Yeah, there's a place for hate, and that makes the nice stuff even more special.
Yeah,
so that's the way I would look at it. I'm okay with that. But I don't think there has to be hate. If I was running a team and I saw one of my players talking, nice to someone that he played 3 years in the World Junior Tournament with, and they were line mates, and now they're chatting, I'm not going to come down on that player. Not going to do it.
Minnesota's had a pretty decent season so far. They're not at the top. They're not at the bottom. They've been pretty as expected, I would say, for me at least. I noticed when I was watching the highlights from this game, they're fast. They're a little faster than I thought they were with some of these plays. There was a specific play during the first or second. Parise and Coyle were going up the ice, and the burst of speed from those two, they really took off. And that kind of got me thinking, Minnesota doesn't get talked about a lot. Why do you think that is? like we're always talking about Toronto or Montreal or the Rangers or Tampa Bay.
I think it's some of its geography and market size. I really think that Minnesota is not really near anybody else. They're by themselves. They probably have a very strong local media presence in their towns, plural. But, yeah, they're not a big draw as far as the attention of the nationwide sports media, for sure.
I think it's because they don't have a superstar. They don't have a Crosby or a Matthews or a Stamkos or a Kopitar. They just kind of have, like, depth. They just have, like, a lot of depth guys. Like, Koivu is really good. Parise is really good. Dubnyk is a hot and cold, but still pretty good.
Yeah.
They don't really have that, like, elite, crazy player. I wonder if that has something to do with it. I wonder if it would change a little bit if they did get a big, giant name there. Be interesting to see that someday.
Well, we got a taste of Minnesota last week, being Montreal fans. Montreal has played excellent in the last little while. They've won 5 games out of 6. The only game they didn't win was in Minnesota, and they didn't just get beat; they got humiliated.
They got bent over and spanked aggressively.
It was awful.
Yeah, it was bad.
It was awful. It was so bad. The only good part was, I thought that was a bonehead move to pull Niemi late in the game, like it was in the third period when they pulled him, and to put Carey Price in, who needed a rest. Carey Price is basically 6-0-0 now in his last 6 starts.
Yeah.
And they put him in, and he actually shut the door after that. Carey Price improved his numbers in that horrible game.
Weird.
Horrible game. And but Minnesota proved that they are all the things you said they were. They're fast.
They
and
are
they're
fast.
Deep.
Like they don't get enough credit, and it's tough for us to watch Minnesota and some of these other Western teams because we've said this in the past and probably said it over 20 times. We are in the Atlantic time zone, so we're an hour ahead of Eastern. So some of these games are really tough to watch, especially the LA games, the Anaheim games, the Vancouver games, San Jose.
Oh yeah,
they're
virtually
way too
impossible. Late. And then Central Time Zone games that start at 9:30 or 10 o'clock our time at night. It was the case maybe 20 or 30 years ago where I'd be happily staying up till midnight, 1 or 2 in the morning to watch television, whether it was the Tonight Show or a sports or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But I'm old now. I go to bed oftentimes between 9 and 10 o'clock at night. I can't even watch East Coast games, especially the ones that start in Montreal. Why those idiots in Montreal start a game at 7:30 when everyone else in the East Coast time zone starts a game at 7 o'clock? What's that extra half hour? Do they have to drag the fans out of the bars, or what's going on
Maybe
in
it's for
Montreal?
Newfoundland.
It'd be the opposite it'd be even worse for Newfoundland. Because
wouldn't it start at an even time then? Are they half an hour ahead?
Yeah, but they are. But it would start at an even time, but it'd be a whole hour later than it really should.
Can we just discuss that for a second? Why are they a half an hour ahead? It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, they're not far enough away from the Atlantic time zone to be a whole hour away when it comes to sunrise and sunset times.
It doesn't matter. It's going to get dark soon. Like, it's going to get dark early. It's going to get, like...
Well...
Is it really that important that they need to be a half an hour ahead? Do you know how much complication that adds to someone's life?
It adds quite a bit. I'm not a great fan of it, but I understand it.
I think it's insane.
Every time zone, at our latitude, where we are now, every time zone's about 1,000 miles wide. So if you're in Houlton, Maine, in the Eastern time zone, you lose your sun in the wintertime at, like, the sun goes down at 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
If you're in Gary, Indiana, or just, let's say you're in Detroit, the sun won't go down for almost another hour.
Yeah.
You're in the same time zone as Houlton. So that's already crazy.
Yeah, I understand it. Like, but what's the point of even changing the time? Like, why can't we just leave it?
Leave it where?
Leave it where it is.
It is where it is now.
No, wait.
Would you want them in the Atlantic time zone with us?
No, well, no.
I'd be okay with that.
Okay, yeah.
Or would you want them another hour
meant
even ahead of us?
I want them with us.
Okay, fine.
Okay, but I was talking about the time zones. Like, let's just, like, why do we have to, like, let's just, this daylight savings time, let's just stop it.
I'm all with that. Let's stop daylight savings time. Stay on standard time all year round.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. They invented daylight saving time. Benjamin Franklin supposedly, or someone, I don't know, whatever it was. They invented it for the purpose of giving farmers more daylight to do their farming. But that was before we invented lights of our own that we can turn on and off as we like. So we can make any light we want any time of the day.
This is just foolish. It's madness, guys.
Well, and some jurisdictions have figured that out, as we've been told in comments. Arizona, Indiana, Saskatchewan.
Yes.
There are places that are just saying, not for us, we're not going to do this, or we're going to do a different thing with our time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing about time zones. They're very local. Prince Edward Island can decide what time zone it wants to be in.
Well, let's start it. Let's start the movement.
Yeah. Okay. Where would you want to be? What I would like to be in the Eastern time zone.
Eastern, 100% Eastern.
I want to be in the Eastern time zone.
Yeah, it makes, like, we're not that far
No.
off. Like, we shouldn't, it's just, ugh.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Anyway, I don't know how we got from Minnesota to time zones, but we'll move on.
Well, we shouldn't move on too quickly because we've been talking about Minnesota and the Calgary game, but we have not yet said how it ended.
Calgary won 2-1.
Exactly. There we go. All right.
The next game was the Montreal-Ottawa game, and Montreal won this 5-2, and there was quite an interesting call in that game.
It was crazy.
So,
now, was it in the highlight package that you watched?
Yeah.
It was. Okay. I wasn't sure if they'd put it in there or not.
As a Canadiens fan, of course I'm going to say that it was embellishment. Or it wasn't embellishment.
Hold it.
But
another mistake on post to post.
Just if I remove myself from that, and just as a straight, like, simple hockey fan, it's still not embellishment. Like, I don't think that I'm being biased or you're being biased with that viewpoint just because we're Canadiens fans.
Oh, no.
That was not embellishment.
Even Gary Galley, who does color commentary on Hockey Night in Canada.
Yeah.
And he is not a friend of the Montreal Canadiens. He's a big booster of the Ottawa Senators.
He is.
Even he said that should have been a good goal.
I just don't understand it. It's the only way he could have got leverage behind his shot because he was being, like, hooked and stuff. He had to almost fall to get the leverage he needed to get that shot away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just don't understand it. Anyway.
If that's embellishment, then Bobby Orr flying through the air in 1972 or whatever it was, 1970, is embellishment.
Exactly.
The only difference would be that when Bobby Orr actually made that leap, the puck was already in the net.
That's
it was
true.
a leap of celebration.
But
so
still.
even if they call that embellishment, it would have happened after the good goal. But otherwise, it's really the same kind of thing. And we would see in the playoffs maybe 8-9 years ago, Mike Camilleri, when he played for Montreal and when he played for every other team he played for, he would go down on one knee for that rapid shot from the right-hand side. If someone was near him at that time, an opposing player, when he went down on his knee to make that shot, are they going to call that embellishment?
Apparently.
It's so dumb. That was the dumbest call I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I agree.
And all the refs gathered together. There was a huddle. All four of them had a chat. Probably they didn't agree.
Yeah, because it took a while.
It took a while. But it's just so stupid.
It ended up working in Montreal's favor because it actually gave them life to...
It motivated the
Yeah,
Canadians.
so-
They went, okay.
That was bad for Ottawa.
It was bad.
But Ottawa, I mean, they were leading that game for pretty much the majority of that.
Yeah.
Of that
Montreal
game.
outscored first. Ottawa tied it up fairly quickly and then got a go-ahead goal, and they held that 2-1 lead for quite a while into the third period.
The shots at the end of the game were like 46-16 or something. Like,
It was
Ottawa can't expect to win games if they're getting 16 shots. They just
the last stat I saw, unless it's been adjusted since then, was 47-18. That's just unreal.
Crazy.
And for the first couple of periods of the game, McKenna, who played in goal for Ottawa, he was pretty good. He was pretty good.
I don't remember seeing any highlights of any saves by him.
Yeah, he was pretty good. Price, we got an awful scare in the first period with Price.
That was a weird play.
That was a weird play. It was. He was down on his left-hand post, crouching and trying to seal off the post, and then just toppled over. And there was a bit of a review to see if there was interference with him. I think you could see it both ways, frankly, but I'm not one to jump right on and say, that was goaltender interference, it wasn't fair. I'm a big Montreal fan, but I think I'm still objective. But he fell over, and there was a goal on that play, so that's why they had to review it. But he fell over awkwardly, and then he got up and he skated around a long time before he went back in the crease. And I was worried that he had tweaked a knee, that the one that Kreider had blown up on him or whatever happened in that New York play back years ago. So anyway, he played the rest of the game and seemed to be fine. So.
Yeah, I think that was the right call. They ended up calling that a goal on the ice. I don't think that was goaltender interference. I think that was more Price's fault than it was. Was Colin White or someone? I can't remember who it was, but I think that was more Price just kind of like falling on himself than anything. So I think that was the right call there. But
there was some pretty good standouts. Kotkaniemi got first star. He got a beautiful goal right off the crossbar, and then hit McKenna in the back, and then went in.
Yeah, a little bit of luck there.
A little bit of luck there, but he's had such bad luck over the last few games. First time he scored in 15 games.
Yeah, he had a nice assist last night.
A beauty assist, and that's what gave him first star. Shea Weber had a beautiful goal. Brendan Gallagher didn't get anything on the score sheet, but he had 7 hits, by far leading all the Canadians. And he's like the littlest, well, maybe Max Domi's smaller, but not by much.
Yeah.
And Brendan Gallagher, for a little guy, can really throw his weight around. So he had 7 hits. He was great. One of the players that disappointed me, notwithstanding the fact that he got a goal, it was an empty net goal at the very end, even though Bob Cole didn't know it was an empty net goal, despite the absence of the goalie. Oh my goodness! I have to say some things about Bob, and I regret it, but I got to say it here eventually.
All right, prepare for hate.
But Jonathan Drouin did his usual no-look passes early, especially early in the game. No-look passes, giving the puck away. He didn't do a lot of trying to get across the blue line by himself, 1-on-5, and then lose the puck. He does that a lot, but he didn't do it so much last night. But when your team wins a game 5-2, and you scored a goal, and your plus minus is 0, something's wrong.
Yeah, he does give the puck away a lot. Yeah. It's really frustrating. He's such a skilled player, but I don't know if it's confidence or what, or just he makes so many no-look passes that it's incredibly frustrating for a Montreal Canadiens fan, because you see it every game multiple times. It's constant. So, and I don't understand how does that continue as a coach? How do you not sit down with a player and say, "Hey, stop making no-look passes"? It's like,
yeah.
Then he continues to make them, we'll bench him. Like,
do something.
Do something. It's been going on for a year and a half now.
And it's a shame. His muscle memory, his physical hand-eye coordination, all those things are fabulous.
He's an amazing player.
His decisions are not.
Yeah.
And this is the decision cortex in his brain that's not working fully right now. And he does dumb things. But then with high skill.
And then he does amazing things. Like, it's frustrating.
Now, to Bob Cole, I understand this is his last year of broadcasting. He's been broadcasting for 50 years, and I acknowledge and bow down to anyone who can do that job for that amount of time. Yeah. And for most of that amount of time, do it very well. But this is his 50th year. I've harped on this a few times in the last couple of years, and I've noticed it before Post-to-Post existed, even before that. But Bob Cole is not all in when it comes to knowing what's going on.
I don't know if it's his eyesight or what, but like it is quite bad, and I don't like to say that, but it is bad. Like, he doesn't know half the players that are on the ice. He calls people the wrong names. He doesn't notice when goalies aren't in the net. He's like, they came on and during that Carey Price incident there, and they said it was no goaltender interference, which means good goal. And then Bob Cole said, we have no goal.
Yeah. He just heard the referee say, there's no goaltender interference, therefore we have a good goal. Referee points to center ice. Bob comes on and says, so Toronto was decided, there was no goaltender interference, the puck went in legally, and therefore we have no goal. And, yeah, that made as much sense to you just now as it probably made to me. And I thought, what's going on? And Gary Galley had to almost rescue him. Finally, he said, oh, yes, well, we can get confused sometimes. Not we, you. Don't blame anyone else's confusion. You're the confused person, Bob. And he's been around the league now this season. He's been feted or celebrated in almost every Canadian city for sure, where the fans pause and they play a little highlight package of Bob Cole's greatest calls, and then he stands up and waves to the crowd, and they acknowledge his wonderful history as an NHL broadcaster.
Which is fine, because he does deserve that praise. He is probably one of the best play-by-play announcers of all time. But
he's really losing it, and I think he's on a sharp decline. And I feel really bad about that.
I do too, yeah.
I really like, the last time the Montreal won the Cup is Bob Cole's voice in 1993. And I'll never forget that. And I wanted to hear him say it again before he retired, but unfortunately 25 years that's half his career now.
Yeah,
it's true. Hasn't had a chance to say that.
Wow.
And I feel bad that I am saying these things. And I don't dislike Bob Cole, but I do think that it's time to retire early because he's actually ruining the broadcast by being so wrong so often.
Well, and it's not a big deal for us because we can see what's going on and stuff. We know when he makes mistakes. But if there's a new hockey fan that's watching the game and they're trying to learn, Bob Cole is kind of doing the opposite in some of these situations. Yeah. So it is tough. It
is tough. And for a long time, he might go on for a minute or a minute and a half of the play, and he'll just talk about what the score is. The teams are playing hard. It's 2-2 in the third period, 3. He's telling us all the things we can already know because we can see the scoreboard, we can see the clock at the top of the screen when they're not showing a Dodge Ram ad instead of the clock or whatever. But anyway, that's another issue.
Huawei.
Yeah, Huawei. Oh, the NHL and Hockey Night in Canada's association with Huawei is starting to look really suspect now because of all the political things that are going on.
Yeah, I'm not sure if any Americans would have seen any Huawei ads.
Well, they wouldn't because they're not allowed in the States.
Yeah, so that's why I'm wondering.
Yeah, but the Americans would know about Huawei now because the Americans have been after a Huawei executive to bring her to the U.S. for a trial on fraud, and they've never been able to get their clutches on her until she was flying through Vancouver a couple of weeks ago. The Americans asked the Canadians to arrest and detain her pending extradition to the United States so she can face trial. And it's probably not big political news in the States, but it's hugely big political news here in Canada because we're not used to being someone else's jailer. But we do have an extradition treaty with the U.S. and many other countries, and if they ask us to hang on to somebody while they go through a process, we're obligated to do that, just as they would be if we wanted to try to have someone sent back here for trial.
Exactly. The USA and Canada are buddies, so
we are buddies.
To work together.
But we are buddies, hopefully within the rule of law. And the president came on last week. Well, if we want to let her go early to get a better deal with China, maybe we'll let her go early. Excuse me, you don't have her. We have her.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't let the facts ever get in the way of that issue. But Huawei, back to Huawei. For those who aren't in Canada, they are the main sponsor of the between-period broadcasts of all of the analysis that happens league-wide, brought to you by Huawei smartphones. And they've got the beautiful Huawei logo on everything. It's a Chinese cell phone manufacturer that many governments, including New Zealand, Australia, the United States, and some European governments, think is too closely tied with the Chinese government.
And you're on that train as well.
I am, because it's pretty certain that some of the technology in cell phones that we buy that are from China can transmit data back to China without our knowing about it. And I think that's the big concern.
What are you scared that the Chinese government's going to know about you?
I'm not worried at all. Because guess what? I have a Chinese phone. I'm quite happy with it. I don't care what they know about me because I'm not interested.
And that's why this is funny because you harp on Huawei and the Chinese government stealing your information all the time, every Saturday night when we watch hockey.
That's just to pull your chain a little bit.
Yeah, but what kind of phone do you have?
I can't even pronounce it.
Exactly.
It's got X's and I's in it. It sounds like something like that.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it either.
I don't know what it is.
The point is that they already have your information.
They do, and the bigger point in all of this Huawei business is that we are soon to develop a 5G data network all across North America. And 5G is going to be quite revolutionary compared to 3G and 4G like we have now. And access to that 5G network is going to be very important because it also transmits very important data, perhaps security-type data, on the 5G network. And they don't want any potentially unfriendly technology doing anything on our 5G network. So Canada hasn't decided yet whether they're going to let Huawei into the 5G network or not. That's what this is all about. Wow. The states have decided, Australia's decided, New Zealand's decided, and they're all on the phone to Canada saying, come on, they're called the Friendly Five or something. We have these deals with these other countries that think like we do, and we try to be together on security matters. And Canada's like, yeah, we haven't really got around to it yet. Yeah, we're still thinking about it.
Wow. What kind of accent's that?
I have no idea.
Well,
anyway,
the Minnesota game turned into a conversation about time zones, and the Montreal game turned into a conversation about the Chinese government and Huawei.
At this rate, you better hit pause and go get yourself a hot chocolate. We'll be going for a while.
Because next is the Florida-Toronto game.
Oh, here we go.
So Florida won that game 4-3, and a very exciting game. That the last you actually had it recorded, so we watched. You rewatched and I watched the last 3 minutes of the game,
and then the overtime,
and whatever. That's a pretty like playoff kind of
really
vibe.
It had that
game.
atmosphere. Didn't it?
Yeah.
And it was like a Toronto home game. Looking at the crowd,
that's the most fans that's ever been in that arena. I think that place was packed,
and very few of them were Florida fans.
Yeah, but there actually were.
There were some.
There were quite a bit of Florida fans in there, and I think the crowd was almost split 50-50. And I actually think I like that. It made for a more exciting kind of game because every goal, half the stands were cheering. I really like that.
Yeah,
I'm a fan.
I was cool with it.
And then the Toronto players' moms were there.
Yeah.
So that was cool. It was actually a pretty big game for Toronto. Unfortunately, they did lose, and Barkov was amazing. Mitch Marner was incredible.
Unreal.
Scored 2 goals in that game.
Yeah.
That was a really exciting game to watch. Of the portions I did watch,
it was a great game, and the idea of taking family members is not brand new. There used to be a dad's trip that was exclusively just sons and dads, and it would usually be around the Christmas time, where the dads would go with the team on maybe a week-long road trip somewhere.
Yeah, a lot of teams do this.
They'd hang together. And only lately, in the last year or two, I think, have I seen, now maybe it's just me and my perception being not as clear as it should be, moms being involved. And this is wonderful.
Yeah.
Because hockey moms they're vicious.
Yeah.
When a hockey mom's daughter or son is on the ice, don't get in her way.
No.
Don't get in her way. Hockey dads obviously are just as passionate about their kids playing hockey as moms are, but moms, they go to another level.
Yeah.
And they were having fun in the stands last night in the Toronto Florida game.
They're doing some dances and
dances.
Yeah.
Mitch Marner's mother was doing that floss thing that I very poorly tried to do a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
But they were having a great time, and I think, I'm not saying I saw any, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a little wine being distributed up there among them.
Because, I think so.
Yeah, because they were very happy.
They were lit. The next game was the Islanders and Detroit, and the New York Islanders won 4-3. Matt Barzal, he's something else. Did you see I think it was their first goal maybe the second goal, where he walked in, it's a 2-on-1, and he cut across with the puck to pull the defenseman over.
Fantastic.
Like, it's just little stuff like that you see from players like Barzal. Mm-hmm. And it's like, wow, like this guy has another sense. Like it's impressive.
Yeah.
Anyways, that was a huge win for the Islanders because they were playing at the Nassau Coliseum. So they're kind of splitting games between Barclays Center and Coliseum. When I do my predictions, a little insider information, every time the Islanders play at home at Nassau Coliseum, I always pick the Islanders to win, regardless of who they're playing.
Ah, you heard it here.
Because they play so much better when they play there versus the Barclays.
Very
Center,
cool.
Barclays Center, Barclays Place,
Barclays
Arena.
Barclays.
I don't know.
I've been there. I've not been in, but I've been outside of it.
Escaping me.
Barclays, I think it's Barclays Center.
Yeah. The next game was Pittsburgh and the LA Kings, and that game started to be a bit of a letdown for LA because Pittsburgh got off to a pretty good lead in that game. They were playing really well, and LA fought back though. But unfortunately, did you see the Doughty giveaway?
No, I didn't.
Oh, it was so bad. He had the puck and he skated back into his zone from the red line, and I can't remember who it was, but gave him a little bit of a can opener, took the puck, walked in and scored. It was bad. Yeah. And then at the end of the game, Doughty was on the ice when they scored the OT winner, and he cracked his stick over the crossbar.
I did see
and
that.
Then threw it.
I did see that. Yeah, that was Phil Kessel got that goal.
It was Phil Kessel. Yeah, Phil the Thrill. It was actually a pretty big win for Pittsburgh because that put them in third in their division, I believe, which is pretty cool. The next game was the Washington-Buffalo game, and Washington won 4-3, and actually a really, really close game. I love that we can say when Buffalo plays these big teams. Like I think it was last week Buffalo played San Jose, and I think it went to overtime or a shootout or something. It was a really competitive game. They just took on Washington, the defending Stanley Cup champions, who are having a very good season this year. Took them to was it a shootout or overtime?
In this game here,
I think it was a shootout.
It was a shootout.
Yeah.
And guess who scored the winning goal in the shootout?
Was it Ovechkin?
It was. He got a goal in the game.
Oh, okay. I remember the goal now.
And he got the shootout winner.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
The third goal that Buffalo scored was
it the Jack Eichel goal?
It was the Jack Eichel roof. There was no room there.
And that's kind of the thing that I was talking about with Barzal. Like,
yeah.
how do you know? Like, there's no room there. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it was a great game, and Ovechkin's now in a 14-game point streak, which ties his maximum for his career.
Really?
Yep.
That's actually shocking.
Yeah, and he's 33 years old, and he's one of the best players of his age ever to have a streak like this. Excuse me.
Wow.
Yep.
The next game was the Anaheim-Columbus game, and I'm going to say something that I've heard other people say, and I agree with. I think John Gibson is the most underrated goalie in the NHL. He doesn't get nearly the praise that he deserves. Mm-hmm. He constantly keeps Anaheim in games. He is one of the biggest reasons, if not the biggest reason, that they are where they are now. They were where they were last year and the year before. John Gibson, in my opinion, is definitely the most underrated goaltender in the NHL.
And he was up against Bobrovsky, who also had a very good game.
He did.
Bob was really good.
Bobrovsky made some incredible saves. I think there was a breakaway where he made a save. He almost backed into the net.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
With just his... but
he managed to keep the puck out of off the line.
He almost flopped to the side and kicked it out. It was pretty impressive,
it was very
actually.
well done.
Yeah.
In that game, both goals for Anaheim were scored by a former Charlottetown Islander right here across the river. Daniel Sprong played for here for years.
We watched him
in the queue.
Probably multiple times.
Yeah, and he went to Pittsburgh, of course, and I thought he was doing quite well, but
they didn't utilize him.
Yeah, he was just surplus to their needs.
Yeah,
and they only played him a little bit in the playoffs, and I felt bad for him because he's a talented. You know what nationality Sprong is?
Isn't it like the Netherlands or something?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
He's a Dutchman, but he scored both goals for Anaheim, including the overtime winner, or the overtime winner. So good for him.
And he just that overtime one. He's a shooter.
Yeah.
He's a goal scorer. So he got the puck off the faceoff, skated kind of like back by the blue line. He didn't even really look to make any other plays. Like, he knew he was going to shoot as soon as he got that puck, and 6 seconds later he shot and scored. Like that. Natural goal scorers like that they just know. Like,
yeah,
they just know. They know. Yeah. The next game was the Nashville and Devils game. Nashville won 2-1. Now, what I said about Gibson, I can kind of say the same thing about UC Saros as far as backups go. I think he's the most underrated backup in the NHL. He might be the best backup in the NHL. Aaron Dell is really good as well.
Really good.
Kincaid is another really good backup.
And he had a good
goalie.
game. Kincaid played for New Jersey and had a good game.
He did.
Yeah.
But UC Saros, there's been some really good backups in the past 6 years. Antti Ranta, when he played for the Rangers, was really good. Cam Talbot, when he played for the Rangers, was really good. UC Saros is the current best backup that's going to be the next starting goaltender. I think that Darling was ahead of him, and now Darling struggling, but considered a starter, I guess. Maybe not anymore, but I think UC Saros, when Pekka Rinne goes away, UC Saros is going to be there for a while, I think, unless they trade him. I don't think they will, but anyway. I don't have anything else to say about that game. Do you?
No, I don't.
The Colorado-Dallas game, Colorado won 6-4. Did you watch any of that game?
I didn't. I saw some highlights, but I did not watch the game.
There were so many called back goals in that game, and there's still the score is 6-4. That had a real playoff vibe to it. I feel like there's a serious rivalry brewing between those two teams if there wasn't already one there prior to the game. But that's a series that's a matchup that we could see in the playoffs because those teams are pretty close to each other in the standings. Not pretty close, but reasonably close to each other. The last game of the night was the Vancouver-Philadelphia game where Vancouver won 5-1. Do you notice this empty seat trend in Vancouver?
No.
What? Did you notice how many empty seats there were last night?
I didn't, but usually when I see empty seats in a Canadian city, I just figure they've all gone to the bathroom and they're coming back.
No, there was a lot of, and I've noticed this year. There's been a lot of empty seats in Vancouver, and I don't really know why. If anyone is in the BC area and can tell us, like, if you're a Vancouver fan and you live in that area, is it the ticket prices go up? Is it just because they're not like doing that well, or like, what is it? Why isn't that rink filling up? In my opinion, it should be. It's a Canadian city. It should be packed, but. Anyways, if you know, let me know.
Hit us with a comment.
Yeah. Now, games today, Vegas and the Rangers is going on right now. Did you make a prediction for that game?
I did not. I know it was 1-1 last I looked at it. I'm not supposed to say that.
Well, you can make a prediction.
Okay.
Who are you picking?
Vegas. I'm picking Vegas like 6-3.
Oh, I picked the Rangers to win. I didn't pick a score, but
I'm
picking the Rangers. It's 3-2 Arizona. Not Arizona. Vegas right now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
The next game is Arizona Carolina, which is underway, I believe, right now. Just started. What's your prediction there?
Carolina.
Arizona for me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look at you.
I know.
Wow.
Calgary St. Louis.
Calgary St. Louis. Calgary's going to be a little tired because they're in St. Louis, right?
St. Louis is so streaky recently.
Yeah. They are. I wonder who they're put in net, whether it's Jake or
Johnson.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick Calgary.
I think Calgary's the favorite. They've got way more points than the Blues. They've had a much better season. Calgary is actually leading their division.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
Fourth in the league.
Oh, you've done the whole setup. I forgot about that. Okay.
Looking for the Canadiens jersey?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't see it.
Not expecting to find it.
No.
Not anymore.
Buffalo versus Boston.
Buffalo is so strong. And they're in Boston?
They're in Boston.
I think Boston's got the yips a bit. I'm picking the Sabres.
Oh, snap.
You heard it right here.
I'm picking Boston.
Yeah.
Boston's a very good home team, so I'm going to pick the Bruins.
Yeah.
San Jose and Chicago.
Oh, San Jose for sure.
I'm picking Chicago.
Are you?
Yep.
Well,
I'm going to pick Chicago in this one.
I hope you're right.
Tampa Bay and Winnipeg.
Well,
Tampa Bay's on an 8-game winning streak.
mm-hmm.
Winnipeg's on a 4-game winning streak. They're playing in Winnipeg. Scheifele has got 11 points in the past 4 games. Who do you pick here?
Who do you pick here?
I'm going to pick Winnipeg.
I like that too. I like that pick.
Scheifele plays very good at home, and they're in Winnipeg. I think that Tampa's winning streak stops at 8.
Mm-hmm.
The last game, Edmonton versus Vancouver.
Got to be Edmonton.
I think it's going to be Edmonton too because they've been playing pretty good hockey under Ken Hitchcock recently. So yeah, that's all the games for today. By the time that you listen to this, all those games may be over or underway. I have a question for you.
Right.
It's kind of it's a thinking question, and it's hockey related.
Okay.
Out of all the teams currently in a playoff position, I want you to pick new names for them. Like the first name that comes to your head. So I'm going to say a city, and you have to, like, if you were in charge of picking the new names for these teams,
Right.
you have to tell me what names they'd be. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Nashville. What do you think Nashville should be called?
Guitar players.
The Nashville Guitar Players.
Ding, 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 ding.
All right.
I don't know.
Winnipeg.
The Winnipeg.
So you might be influenced from other teams from these cities, like the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the CFL.
I would say the Winnipeg Prairie Dogs.
The Winnipeg.
Like, is this a serious exercise? Because I'm treating it like it's foolish.
No, you can. Well, it's a little both.
Okay.
But I don't know if Prairie Dog would work. That's a term for something else. That
It's actually a real animal, despite what you.
I know. I know a Prairie Dog.
It's also a verb. It's a verb. I work in a place that has a lot of cubicles now. Like we don't have offices, well, one of us does, but most of us are in cubicles. So if you hear a noise or hear someone talking, you have to prairie dog to see who it is.
I think that's a different.
Oh, no, it's a verb. Prairie dog. Prairie dog.
No.
It's when you pop up out of your cubicle to see what's going on.
Prairie dogging is a completely different thing. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't Google it.
Don't look it up.
Colorado?
The Colorado. was going to say the Colorado Mile High Club.
Jeez.
Well, they're a mile high and they're a hockey club. But anyway.
If you don't know what the Mile High Club is, anyway. I just called them the Rockies, I think.
Yeah.
Just a throwback.
Well, that's what they used to be, yeah.
Calgary.
The Calgary...
Rockies.
Well, yeah.
What about the Hitmen?
Well, they already have a Hitman team, as you know,
Yeah.
in the Central Hockey League, or Western Hockey League, sorry. I don't know. What's the purpose of this exercise?
I don't know. It's just fun. It's a thought exercise.
All right. I say the Calgary Towers.
The Calgary Towers. All right.
Well, there is a thing called the Calgary Tower.
Yeah. Anaheim.
The Anaheim Mice. Well, it's got Disney, like Mickey Mouse, the Anaheim Mice, or the Anaheim...
Okay.
The Anaheim Cinderellas.
That's intimidating.
Yeah.
San Jose.
San Jose Capitals.
Why?
Because San Jose is the capital of California?
It is?
Oh, my goodness.
I didn't know that.
You should go there sometime.
I really didn't know that. Are they really?
I think so.
I'm calling shenanigans on that.
Are you? Okay, stand by. That's what the Google's for.
I mean, I'm not saying that you're wrong.
Well, you call
I'm
them
just not saying
shenanigans.
you're right.
But you're calling me shenanigans.
I don't think so.
San Jose, officially the city of San Jose, is an economic, cultural, and political center of Silicon Valley and the largest city in Northern California.
Why wouldn't you just Google capital of California?
I wanted to play it out a bit here.
Well, am I going to have to do this on my phone? Old people, right?
Oops,
Jeez.
sorry, I'm wrong.
I see. I knew it.
I know it started with an S.
Is it San Diego?
No, Sacramento.
Sacramento.
And
Jeez.
sorry, California.
I didn't think so. You're making fun of me for...
I still call them the Capitals
Okay.
because I think the Capitals should
Wait,
be.
there's already a team called the Capitals. You can't call them the Capitals.
Well, if we're changing every team's name, there won't be, will there?
Okay, that's true. Edmonton?
The Edmonton Drillers.
Oh, that's actually pretty good.
Hello.
I like that one.
All righty.
Vegas?
The Vegas Jackpots.
Okay, all right. Washington?
The Washington...
Presidents?
Yeah. Or the Senators. They used to have a baseball team called the Washington Senators back in the 60s.
Really?
Yep.
Columbus?
Jeez.
I know, it's a hard one.
Yeah. The Columbus Cannons.
Oh, yeah.
Then they could still use the cannon.
That's true.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh?
The Pittsburgh Steelheads.
Isn't a steelhead a trout?
Yeah, I know, but that's don't get all technical on me.
Okay. Tampa Bay?
The Tampa Bay Cigar Makers.
What? What do you mean?
Well, because the Americans have boycotted Cuban cigars,
Yeah.
there is a very vibrant cigar-making community in Ybor City, which is part of Tampa Bay, or part of Tampa itself, actually.
So you'd want kids to be buying Tampa Bay cigar maker jerseys with a big giant cigar.
That's not the question you asked me. You asked me what the name would be.
Okay. Toronto.
The Toronto Lakers.
Actually, yeah, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Buffalo. Lakers.
The Buffalo Snow Squalls. Well, have you ever seen Buffalo every time this time every year before Lake Erie freezes?
The lake effect.
The Lake Effect Snow Squalls. Yeah, there you go.
The Buffalo Lake effect. Okay.
Brought to you by
Huawei.
Yeah.
Montreal.
I always liked the Wanderers.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Montreal did have a team called the Wanderers. I'd be okay with that.
What about I think the Maroons better.
I do too, actually.
Wanderers
now that you
just
mention it.
seems like a bunch of
Yeah.
people who can't see, just like looking around for stuff. So.
You can call them Montreal Mount Royals, which would be kind of funny because Montreal means Mount Royal in French.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, last
All
one,
right.
Boston.
The Boston Whalers. Hartford would be totally pissed.
Oh,
but
you just pissed off like at least 60
sorry,
people.
But there's actually a boat called a Boston Whaler. They make a boat,
Okay.
Boston Whalers, and it's a very nautical area.
What about the Boston lobster rolls? Or is that a Connecticut thing?
No, it's everywhere. It's up here, too.
Yeah.
They used to have lobster rolls at McDonald's in the Maritimes.
A McLobster.
Yeah. So you can call them the Boston Patriots because they have the New England Patriots, the Boston Constitutions, the Boston...
that'd be a good one.
The Boston Paul Revere's, Paul Revere Riders.
Who's the guy who does the singer dude?
Rennie Rancourt?
Yeah, the Boston Rancourts.
He would love that.
He would.
They'd have to bring him back.
It's just a picture of him on the front doing this with his fist.
All right.
My players of the week. Ready for this?
I'm ready for this.
I already talked about him. Mark Scheifele, 4 games played, 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points. My other player of the week, which is a goalie, my goalie of the week is David Riddick. 3 games played, 2 wins, .957 save percentage, 1.31 goals against average. He played 3 games. He won 2, but that third game he was put in as a relief.
Oh, okay.
So he didn't actually start that game. He started 2 games this week. He won 2 games. So just wanted to clarify that.
Okay.
Yeah, he had a good week.
Because we wouldn't want to make a mistake.
That's right. The last thing I have on my list is viewer questions. We have 2 viewer questions this week. You have them prepared on your laptop.
I believe I do.
If you guys haven't watched a podcast before, or if you've missed that section in previous podcasts, we allow you guys to submit questions to us. You can film yourself asking a question that's hockey or NHL related, or just generally hockey related. Email it to us at posttopostShow@gmail.com, and we'll put you in the podcast. You can be part of the episode. So,
all right.
You got her teed up there?
I do. Which one do you want first?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
All right.
Here comes number 1.
Hey, Post to Post crew, back with another question. I have a question on 2 key UFAs this season for the Blue Jackets, in Bobrovsky and Panarin. I've heard multiple accounts that Panarin wants to go to a key, like a high market value team like the Rangers, LA, Chicago, and Bobrovsky, they're just unsure that he's even going to resign. So, do you think Bobrovsky has a chance of going back to Philly, or that Panarin will either stay with the team or go to those high market teams like the Rangers, like LA, like Chicago? Thank you.
All right, very good question. A very applicable question because both those names have been in the rumors recently, Panarin and Bobrovsky. Bobrovsky, I can probably see staying, or at least I hope to see him stay. But I think Panarin will likely move on. It's tough because if he wants to go to a contending team like Tampa Bay or Toronto, the cap becomes an issue at that point. And I don't know if those teams can afford him. New York probably could because they're in a bit of a rebuild. L.A. maybe might consider him. I don't see him going back to Chicago. That doesn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
I can almost see him going to like a Detroit, a team with a lot of young players who he can grow with and stuff. Now Detroit is in cap hell right now for the next 3 years or so. So until that gets sorted out, maybe that won't actually happen. But I don't know. I think he stays in the East, though. I think he's going to stay in the East. Maybe he goes to Boston. Or can you imagine Panarin and Pasternak on a line? Like, no thanks. I don't want to play that team. Anyways, that's my thoughts. You?
Nothing substantially different. It'll be the highest bidder, probably, and he may use the major market city as a tiebreaker. Mm-hmm. So if St. Louis is bidding for him and they're offering the same amount of money as the Rangers, and he wants to be in a bigger, brighter city, then he would make his choice on that basis. I really don't know. I have no sense, and I wouldn't have any sense of what him or his agents are thinking about where he should go next. Mm-hmm. But clearly, this looks to be his last year in Columbus. I don't know they could offer him any amount of money that would get him to stay. They certainly haven't pleased him with anything in September, which is his initial deadline, I thought, for offers.
He'll play where he wants to play. He's just one of those people, and there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-hmm. Anyways, thank you for the question. We really appreciate that. And we've got one more coming up. If you want to.
We didn't talk about Bobrovsky.
I did.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
You weren't listening to me.
Yes, I was.
What'd I say then?
I don't know. But I do have a bit of an opinion. He does have a bit of history with Philadelphia. I don't know if it was negative when he left. Was it a trade that sent him away, or did
I don't
he
remember,
move
to
on
be
his
honest.
own? Yeah,
I think he was traded.
Yeah, it makes sense because he only played 2 years with them, or parts of 2 years. but his goaltending at that time was fairly good, and there's not a team on the NHL right now who's more worse in need of a good goalie than Philadelphia. Anyway.
Florida?
Luongo. They got Luongo.
Luongo's like 90.
Yeah, he's going to play forever. He's awesome.
Reimer isn't that great.
Yeah, but
I'm
I
trying to
don't.
think of another team that...
Well, the teams.
Islanders?
Yeah, Ottawa maybe.
Ottawa?
Yeah. Anyway.
Rangers? Lundqvist is going away soon. Although, you should see the save that Lundqvist made today in this game.
Already? The one that's happening right now as we speak?
Oh, buddy. Save of the year.
Well, I am PVRing the game, so.
Save of the year.
Cool.
Save of the year candidate.
His save of the year? Or the save of the
could
year
be,
in the whole.
Like I would say candidate.
Wow.
But that Vasilevsky save,
Yeah, that was unreal.
you see that?
That was unhuman.
that was amazing.
Yeah. All right.
Next question.
Next question.
Hi, my name's Garrett Friesen, and my question today is, who do you think's going to win the Calder Trophy?
Very good question. That's actually something that we don't talk a lot about is predicting trophy winners. I think we did it 2 years ago when the channel first started, and at the time I didn't really want to do it because I don't put a lot of attention into who wins the trophies. I don't know why. It just doesn't interest me that much. But as far as the Calder Trophy goes, I don't know if you can really say anyone else other than Pettersson right now. He's got like 36, 37 points or something like that in 33 games. I think the next closest person is maybe Colin White from Ottawa with, I think, 24. I should look this up so I don't look like an idiot. I always talk off the top of my head and I'm always wrong. Can I even look at this on the...
Sure. Well, on points, it's Pettersson, and then Brady Tkachuk after that. Well, Tkachuk, Heiskanen, and Kotkaniemi are tied for second with 17 points.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Or tied for third.
What are you looking at?
Colin White is number 2. Sorry. Colin White's
Okay.
number 2. And then Tkachuk, Heiskanen, and Kotkaniemi are tied for third place behind Pettersson.
Yeah, I knew White was up there. What's the difference between first and second?
34 to 22.
Yeah, okay. I knew it was like
So
low
it's
20s.
pretty substantial. Yeah. For goals, it's Pettersson with 16, and then a four-way tie with 9.
It's right now. I wouldn't say anyone else except for Pettersson.
Yeah.
but-
He's head and shoulders above the rest. For assists, he's got 18. Then there's Dahlin with 14, and then a two-way tie with 13 with White and Kotkaniemi. Plus minus, he's plus 13. Cirelli is just behind him with plus 12.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's the only stat that anyone's even close to him. So
Good
I
stuff.
guess that answers Derek's question pretty clearly. He's unbelievable, and he's great to watch. And I can't wait to see what he develops into, because Vancouver's got themselves a real winner. And with Besser from last year, they've done well.
I wonder if Panarin would consider Vancouver. Because they have the cap space.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he want to go back over to the West Coast.
So does Montreal.
You think Panarin's going to go to Montreal?
Not likely, but they do have the cap space.
They do.
And they do need a little more push.
Panarin would be perfect in Montreal.
I think he'd
but
be
I'm
great.
not even going to talk about it because I want to get my hopes up. But
Yeah, I don't know if he would go for that,
Yeah.
because he probably wants to play in the United States and be paid in dead presidents rather than the Queen's money. Not that it all works out anyway, because they convert, but still.
That's all I have
All
in
right.
this podcast.
Are you aware of the Pat Berglund suspension?
No.
Pat Berglund, whose cap hit is $3.85 million.
Right. He didn't show up.
Didn't show up. He'd been suspended by his team, Buffalo.
Is there a reason? Why didn't he show up?
I haven't heard the reason. If there is one, I haven't heard it.
Is he sick? Like, is he...
Well, if he was sick, they wouldn't suspend him.
I guess.
I'm thinking they just put him on the DL and say he's sick. So don't know.
Wait, I have a question.
Okay.
If you have... Like, if you have the poops, okay? And you think that you might have to go in the middle of a game. Like, you're not sure if you're can be reliable. Because you might have to... Like, it's kind of like when it comes, and you have to go.
Yeah.
If you refuse to play a game because you know what your body's like, whatever. But the doctors are like, just get out there. If you have to go, then get off the ice, whatever. But if you refuse to go because you know how dangerous it is, do you think you get not fined, but do you think that there would be repercussions from that?
I don't think so. I think that there's not a player in the NHL who would choose to sit on the flush instead of sitting on the bench. So I think any player worth themselves would just strap on a Depends, and they'd go out there.
Wait.
And they would try to go on a streak down the ice.
Not a streak in their pants. Okay, hold on. Do you actually think that there's been hockey players to wear diapers?
I have no idea, but I have seen a hockey player.
This is a true story.
This is a true story. The hockey players in this particular senior league team had been partying the night before, and maybe having excessive beverages and perhaps eating things they shouldn't eat. And one particular player leaned over on the right wing for the face-off.
Opening face-off, I think.
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
It wasn't the opening face-off, but it was near the beginning of the game because he wasn't feeling well from the beginning because I was in the dressing room and I saw him laboring.
Yeah.
But he bent over to get his stick down on the ice to get ready for the face-off, and he got this funny look on his face. And I won't say exactly what he said, but he said something to the effect of, I'll translate it, I think I just pooped. And
he left.
And he left.
That is actually a true story.
That is a true story. So I'm sure it's happened at some point. There are players that, we've heard of the goalies, the really good goalies in the past, who had to throw up before every game because they were so nervous.
Yeah.
There are other players. I know another player who was actually on that same team that had emphysema or asthma, or I guess it was asthma, and they had to be on oxygen between periods.
Really?
But they'd go out there and play like unbelievable.
Wow.
Guy Lafleur would, between periods, go and have a smoke.
Jeez.
On the other side of the coin, right? So, you never can be too sure what you're skating out there with, right?
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's just a noteworthy event. I haven't heard any news on the Berglund thing in the last day or so, but interesting to watch. I don't know, when a team suspends somebody with that kind of cap hit, how long they can keep them on the books before they can take that money off, or what? Do they still have to, I suppose they still have to pay him. It's not his decision to leave necessarily.
Yeah,
They've suspended him. So
can they suspend him without pay? Do they?
I
Can they
doubt
legally
it.
do that? I don't think
doubt
so.
it. I really doubt it.
The CBA would probably not allow that.
Probably not. Yeah. But
They could put him on waivers, and
they could
force him down.
Yeah, they could put him on waivers, and another team could probably get him on the cheap because they would have to pay only half his salary probably to grab him. Buffalo's still responsible for the other half, but if that gets a poison into the dressing room, which is the main goal,
and
maybe that works for
another
them.
team might not want him, depending on what the reason is. We don't know that yet. So.
We don't know, so we'll be watching that. I had done a little bit of work yesterday and today, just going back to the coaches that have been fired and replaced. As I mentioned earlier, I alluded to this, just to see how well these coaching changes have worked for the teams. We already know that Edmonton has done very well under Ken Hitchcock.
What's the do you have the record?
I do.
Is it like 8-1-1 or something?
They are now 8-2-2.
8-2-2.
8-2-2 under Hitchcock. They were 10-10-1 when this change was made. So they were basically playing 500 hockey, and now 8-2-2, and they are doing great in their division.
Yeah, they are playing some good hockey against good teams.
Yeah, yeah. They are knocking on the door of the playoffs, so that's pretty darn good. Pretty darn good.
And I wouldn't have predicted that because Todd McClellan's a good coach. It's not like they had a crappy coach before that, and now they have an amazing coach. Todd McClellan's pretty established.
Yeah, he was. He was quite good. So Ken Hitchcock came on board the 20th of November, 2018. The day before, that was when St. Louis fired Mike Yeo and brought in Craig Berube. Since then, the Blues have gone 5-5-1. 500 hockey. And so they're below 500 still because they were when they got rid of Yeo. The LA Kings had John Stevens, and on the 4th of November, 2018, they got rid of him and brought in Willie Desjardins. And they were 4-8-1 when this happened. Since Desjardins arrived, they've gone 7-12-2,
Ooh.
including the overtime loss.
I think it was L.A. who was the ones that fired the coach after the win.
Maybe, yeah. So it has not worked out well for L.A., and it has really not worked out well for Chicago.
Oh, it's bad. Yeah.
They were 6-6-3 when they had Quenneville, so that they were playing even hockey at that time. Now they're 10-18-6. Since they got rid of Quenneville and brought in Jeremy Colleton, they are 4-12-3.
Dang.
And that is sad.
That's tough.
Yeah. So the coaching change has worked in one market, not so much in the other four.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes it does work, even if it's only temporary. You bring in a new coach, bring in like a Torts, he'll light a fire under them. They'll play great for a couple of months before they get them figured out, or they stop listening to them, and then things go back to normal. But this time, so far, not good. Not good at all.
Curious to see how long his tenure will be in Chicago.
Mm-hmm. Now, another thing I've done is I've taken the standings, and I often will talk about who would play who if the playoffs started today. But I noticed that the actual who would play who is based on raw points that are earned by the teams as of today. So they don't really reflect the team's power ranking type performance.
Because some teams have played more games than others?
Exactly.
Okay.
So I've gone ahead and redone the standings based on pace. Right now, for instance, the Tampa Bay Lightning have won or played 33 games, and they have 51 points. 51 points in 33 games. You extend that out to 82 games, they're on pace to have 127 points.
Do you know the record?
I can look it up real quick. They're 25-7-1.
I think Detroit holds the record. I think it's 131 points.
Wow.
I'm going to look it up while you continue.
Okay. So Tampa Bay would be in the lead either way using the calculation, but they'd be playing different teams based on my calculation versus the one that would be done based on raw points right now. Right now, they would be playing Boston based on raw points, but actually Boston is seeded slightly higher than Montreal. They've got one fewer point, but they've played one fewer game.
Yeah.
So Boston would actually, they're on pace for 97 points and a little bit. Montreal's on pace for 97 points and a little less. So Boston would actually be next, and Montreal would therefore be Tampa Bay's opponent. Toronto and Buffalo would be opponents of each other in either system. Toronto's on pace for 109 points this year, and Buffalo's on pace for 107.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Jeez.
Montreal and Boston are both with 97. Detroit is down at 80. Ottawa would have 77. And Florida actually would be ahead of Ottawa with 79. So right now, Florida is seated lowest in the standings, but they actually have a better win ratio than Ottawa has because they played fewer games. They've only played 31 games, and Ottawa's played 34.
Wow.
And they're only, they got the same amount of points. So Florida's the better team right now. So it'll be Tampa Bay versus Montreal and Toronto versus Buffalo. Notice that both wild card teams will be coming out of the Atlantic, because the Metropolitan isn't strong enough yet. They're getting stronger, but they're not strong enough yet.
So, yeah.
So Montreal and Boston. Boston would then take on the second highest number one team, and in this case, right now, it would be the Washington Capitals. They're on pace for 110 points. So they would play Boston in the first round. And the next two teams would be the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Pittsburgh is now up in a spot under my system. Washington would finish with 110 points on pace. The Blue Jackets would have 95, and Pittsburgh would have 92. So right now it doesn't make sense because I don't know if a team with 92 points has ever been in the playoffs. So that just shows how badly some of the other teams are doing.
Yeah, I guess, eh?
That 92 might be enough to get in the playoffs. And also, 92 points would be less than both Boston and Montreal. So, in other words, Pittsburgh would have an automatic seed, being the third-place team in the Metro, even though they don't have as many points as Montreal or Boston, who end up having to face.
That's frustrating.
It is very frustrating. That's why I hate this system. It should be 1 versus 8, yada, yada, like we've talked about before. In the Central, Nashville is on pace for 112 points, and currently they're in first place. But Winnipeg has played one fewer games and only has one fewer point. They're on pace for 113. So actually Winnipeg is the best performing team in the Central right now.
Huh.
So they would be the first seed, and they would play the Vegas Golden Knights. Nashville would drop down and play Colorado. who is on pace for 104 points. After that, we have Minnesota with 92, Dallas with 87, St. Louis with 77, and Chicago with 63. 63 for Chicago. And what these on pace means is if these teams continue to play at exactly the same performance now on into the future to the end of the regular season, that's how many points they would have.
Wow.
And finally, with the Pacific, Calgary is number 1 on pace for 109 points. 109. That's amazing.
Definitely better than I thought they'd do prior to the season starting.
Really. Anaheim is next with 99 points. San Jose and Edmonton are tied with 97. And they're so closely tied. They have the same one-loss record, the same overtime loss record, everything. They've only played each other once, and Edmonton won that game in overtime.
So it would go to Edmonton as a tiebreaker.
It would go to Edmonton as a tiebreaker right now, yeah. And Vegas would be next with 92, squeaking into a wild card. Then Vancouver with 80, but that might change. Arizona with 79, and the LA Kings, if they keep playing at this pace, will have 60 points at the end of the season.
Oh, man.
That's brutal.
That is.
So the matchups would be Calgary versus San Jose, first round, and Anaheim versus Edmonton.
Well, that'd be a good matchup considering what happened 2 years ago.
Now, based on pure points, not using my system, but going just back to the regular points where we see it, right now would be Calgary, Edmonton. Battle of Alberta, first round.
Please.
Please.
Can you imagine? Hold on. Hold on. Calgary versus Edmonton, first round. Toronto versus Ottawa, first round. The Battle of Ontario and the Battle of Alberta. Can we, that would be the perfect start to a playoffs if that happened.
It would. Or would it be better if it's Calgary versus Edmonton in the third round?
That's not possible, is it?
Sure. If they both have different seedings,
Okay, yeah.
they can play each other for the conference championship.
Yeah, like that. It's a pretty rare scenario.
Yeah, it would
but
be quite a pool shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One would have to come in 8th. And then, yeah,
Yeah.
I understand.
Pretty hard to do, but it could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the scenarios right now. Go ahead.
I have the record.
Oh, yes, okay. The record is how many points?
Well, I guess I was correct. Detroit did do it with 131 points in 95-96.
Mm-hmm.
But the record is actually 132 points.
Capitals?
No. The Montreal Canadiens.
What?
And 76-77.
What?
132 points.
Oh, that was quite a year. I think they only had 7 regulation losses all year.
They were stacked that year.
That's considered by many to be the best hockey team that's ever played on the ice together.
Shot got 60 goals. Lafleur had 56 and 136 points. Yeah.
Yeah. Shutt, Lafleur, Robinson, Gainey.
They outscored St. Louis in the
Dryden.
finals 19-4.
Unbelievable. You know, they've outscored Ottawa.
Sorry.
Yeah.
They outscored their opponents in the entire season 387-171.
That's crazy.
Wow, that's crazy. That is good. That's just.
That's over 2-1. Yeah.
They also finished 20 points ahead of any other team.
I hope they won the cup that year. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They did. I remember.
That's all I have for this podcast. Do you have anything else?
I do not.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening or watching. We really appreciate that. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube channel, hope you can hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the like button as well. If you're listening to us on iTunes or Google Play Music, leave us a review. Make sure you go down into the description and hit that Discord link and come on and have some fun with our predictions. And we will see you in podcast number 56 next Sunday. Adios.